Welcome to the sports segment here on Arizona Spin. My name is Benjamin Garcia, executive producer on The Drive with Jody Ayler every morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Fox Sports, 9, 10 a.m. Today, I'm kind of taking the controls, and I've got a wingman next to me, Chris Schubert, the producer for Rock and Manooch from 12 to 2, if I'm not mistaken, every 12
1 to 4.
1 to 4 every single day on as well Fox Sports 9, 10 a.m. I appreciate you being here with me today, Chris.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Always good to talk some sports.
How you doing today?
Doing okay. A lot of fun stuff this week in sports. Nothing boring.
We just finished a bunch of stuff talking
Yeah.
sports. It's been busy. It's fun to continue doing it. NBA free agency is off and running. Everyone is off doing things aside from the Phoenix Suns. I'll kind of let you jump here really quickly. Why do you believe the Phoenix Suns are kind of watching and waiting right now, and other teams are kind of doing more so than what the Suns are doing right now?
Well, they have no choice, right? This is who this team is. By declaring themselves as a second apron team with all of the other moves that they've made, they're limited in what they're able to do. They can't make any major trades. They can't make any major signings because they don't have any money. They're spending the most in luxury tax bill right now with $121 million. So they have no choice but to sit back and wait. They have to hope that the players that they are interested in at positions of need become available as free agency progresses and as spots get filled. So unfortunately, when you make the decision to keep Kevin Durant and keep Bradley Beal and have Devin Booker and have all of that money tied up, you don't have a lot of options. So you have to sit back, you have to wait, and you have to hope that when these guys come to you and say, I'm good with taking the vet min, that they're players that you're interested in.
You know, it's really interesting, and you kind of hit on a couple of those points, but Suns fans, the way that they're reacting to a team that went and got Bradley Beal, that went and got Kevin Durant. You know, Espo of PHNX Suns last night said something very funny. They were upset when they were getting Kevin Durant spending a bunch of money. They were upset when they were spending all the money for Bradley Beal, and now they're upset because they're not spending enough money. And it's like, you have to pick a lane. You have to understand this is the bed that the Phoenix Suns have made, and now they're lying in it. And wherever the chips fall is exactly where they're going to, and that's where the Phoenix Suns are going to have to figure it out. Now, is there a guy or two that they could get on free agency that could actually help them? Potentially. I personally don't see it right now. And right now with this Suns team, do you think, because that's what they're telling us, that they can contend for championships? Is there any way, shape, or form that, much less just winning one playoff game next year, can they contend for a championship?
Yeah, I think they can. Will they? That's going to be the $100,000 question of what version of this team do they have come playoff time. We know that this core group of players have injury histories where they miss time. Is that time missed during the regular season? Is that time missed during the postseason? Are they fully healthy? They were fully healthy last year, and they got swept out of the first round, and they decided that our problem there was we had the wrong coach. We didn't have the right guy. So they made the coaching change, and they're going to run it back with the same group. But this is a team that spent a ton of money. Matt Ishbia spends a lot of money. He's going to have the biggest tax bill in the NBA this season, more than likely. They have all-stars at 3 important positions along their starting 5. They are not a team, and no team in the NBA can do this, where you have 5 all-stars and you have 3 all-stars on your bench. That's not how sports work. They made their bed with these 3 players. They made the decision that these are the 3 players they want to build around, and so now they have to go out and find those auxiliary pieces that are the back end of their rotation that they feel pretty good with. So to answer your question, yes, I think they can, because once you get into the dance, anything can happen. The Dallas Mavericks went to the NBA Finals as a 5 seed. The Suns were a 6 seed right behind them in the standings. So you get into the dance, and you hope that Mike Budenholzer is able to pull the right levers that get this team further into the playoffs. Is it possible? Yes. Would I bet on it? No.
That's really interesting because you have a lot more optimism than I do. Last year, I sat in your chair that you're in, and I talked to Andrew Babinski of 99.9 KEZ, and I told him, this Suns team is going to win the championship next year. And I said this at this time last year. They added a bunch of shooters. After the first week of free agency, we were like, look at all these guys that they were able to add. But I personally I don't see it this year. Hopefully they can figure it out, get the right guys, but we'll see where we're at this time next week. Hopefully the Suns actually make an actual adjustment.
And I think what is happening is the expectations have shifted. I think last year, by you coming out and saying, I think this team can win a championship, I think that was in line with what they were supposed to be. But now that they failed, now that they made the coaching change, now that people have seen this big 3 for what it currently is, a flawed group that isn't consistent enough, the expectations have changed to get into the playoffs and let's see what happens. And I think that's a fair expectation to put on this team. If you still have visions of this team hoisting up the trophy at the end of the season, just like the Boston Celtics did. I think that's a little too premature. It's a little too early to do that. You need to see what Mike Budenholzer is as a coach. Can he get the most out of this team offensively? And so if this team is much improved offensively, they get better defensively, and they look like a different team from a year ago, then I think come next December, January, we can have those conversations. I just think right now, after what just happened and the limited nature of their offseason, that it's just a little early to be discussing championships once again.
A lot of good points for the Suns. Let's kind of pivot to this now. There's the Klay Thompson acquisition by the Dallas Mavericks. There's the acquisition through signing the Paul George to the Philadelphia 76ers. I'll let you harp on it in just a second, but this is kind of how I feel about the 76ers. The Paul George, Joel Embiid pairing and Tyrese Maxey, yeah, awesome. The trio's great. On paper, it's fun. There's not one singular Paul George memorable playoff moment in the last decade I can think of. Him coming to the 76ers doesn't solve Joel Embiid's playoff woes, where he is significantly a different player than in the regular season than in the postseason. And then there's a massive amount of injuries. I just don't buy the 76ers over a Boston, over a New York. Where are you at on that space?
How dare you insult somebody whose nickname is Playoff P? How dare you say that he doesn't have any marquee playoff moments? No, look, I think I like the move from the 76ers in a vacuum, because if you were to tell me that the top two options for the 76ers are going to be Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, and Paul George is the 2A or the 3, I like that a lot. I feel really good about asking Paul George to be the third option for a team's offense. But here's the problem. Joel Embiid misses a lot of time. Joel Embiid played in 39 games last year. Joel Embiid hasn't played in 70-plus games, I don't think at all, in his NBA career. So guess what? There's going to be a large stretch of the season where you're going to ask Paul George to go back and be that number 2. Well, guess what? I saw it in Oklahoma City. I saw it with the Clippers. It doesn't work. They haven't reached the potential that everybody likes to talk about with Paul George. Is he a good player? Yes. Can he bring the 76ers to a place of being a legitimate threat in the East? Yes. That is assuming the health of Joel Embiid, which is always the biggest question mark around this team. Now, maybe this is the insurance policy where they feel like those 12 games, those couple dozen games that they're going to be without Joel Embiid, Paul George can pick up the slack. And so instead of playing in the play-in tournament, this is a team that's a 4 or a 5 seed. I get that. But until I see it, until I see Joel Embiid and a fully healthy Sixers team in the playoffs, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to buy them as a team.
There's the Paul George acquisition. There's the Klay Thompson acquisition. Didn't get to go too far into that, but Klay Thompson being able to go to the Mavericks, that is a complimentary piece I really like with the Dallas Mavericks. Being able to have Luka Doncic, who's very similar to LeBron James, in a drive and kick scenario where he's just very good with shooters. I really love what the Mavericks did. And on the inverse, I guess I'm not so sure how I feel about the 76ers, given the consistent playoff woes, the injury history, and everything just to do on that end. But on the Mavericks side, it's a perfect complementary move. That's the Spin Sports Style. Thanks for helping me out this week, Chris.
No problem.
I appreciate it. Hopefully they never need the both of us again.